For those of you who need to automate your SharePoint reports, this video is a must watch. I'm going to show you how to automate your data access governance reports in SharePoint Advanced Management. In past videos, I've shown a lot about these different data access governance reports. If you haven't seen that, wait until the end of this at least, and then go check out my SharePoint Advanced Management playlist to learn more about these reports. But if you're watching this, you may already be familiar with those reports. So let me show you how you could use PowerShell to execute those reports, to get the status of them, and to even download those reports. And this works for all of the different data access governance reports. So things like the oversharing report, the sharing links report, and even the content shared with everyone except external users report. But there's many other reports you can run and access. And this is a great feature for organizations that want to automate their monthly and quarterly reports or even annual reports. So let's get into it. Now, the reason that you would want to use something like PowerShell instead of going to the SharePoint Admin Center and running these reports is maybe just so that you don't have to remember to go and do that on a monthly basis or quarterly basis. You want to automate things, right? Because that means you kind of do less work, right? You don't have to log into the Admin Center. You don't have to PIM up in a lot of cases to go to the admin center. You could run this PowerShell from your desktop, but it gets really powerful if you're using an Azure runbook, for example, where that PowerShell is running in the cloud. It's already got credentials to access the admin center, and it could just drop that file in a SharePoint library where only the admins have access to it. That's a great use case for this. Now, the licensing for this is still the same as all of the other SharePoint Advanced Management features. You either have to have the $3 per user per month license. That was the old way. That's pretty much, it's going to stay around, but most people who use SAM are going to be using it because they've got licenses for M365 Copilot. Because in case you missed that news, at Microsoft Ignite, they announced that all of SAM features, all of these features are going to be included with M365 Copilot licensing. So if you've already got those licenses deployed or they're in the process of being deployed to everyone, you'll already have these SAM features available and you can start to use them. So to actually start to run these reports, let's switch over to my desktop, and I've got PowerShell here, and we connect to the admin center. That's the first thing. We're going to be using the SharePoint Online Management Shell for this. And then the command we're going to run here is the one for the oversharing report. So this is an example command. The start SPO data access governance insight commandlet is actually going to be the command that you're going to run for all of these different reports. All the parameters that you give it are going to determine which report you want to run and any parameters that report needs in order to generate it. So, for example, this is running the oversharing report, or the report of how many permissioned users are on a site. This is going to give us a snapshot of this report as opposed to, if we just clear this out, the recent activity. So instead of just saying what things have been shared recently, we're going to give it we're going to tell we want a snapshot so we get a baseline of everything that's going on right now. We can target either SharePoint or we can use OneDrive for Business and run this on OneDrive. So you've got options here for these reports for what you want to do. Let's say I'm just going to run this against SharePoint. And then in this case, we're going to be looking for the count of users more than setting. That's going to tell it how many users is too many on a site. In this case, it's 100 users. That's just the setting that we've got. Well, that's just the value we're using right now. So any site with more than 100 users permissioned on it, that's going to flag it so that it shows up in the report, and we can take a look at that because there could be some potential oversharing. Maybe someone shared with the everyone but external users group. Maybe just someone shared with a very large group instead of just picking the individual users. And then we can give it a name here. So let's run this and get a report started. So the report creation has started. We have a report ID that we can use. Now, if we want to track the progress, because some of these can take a little while, we can use get SPO data access governance insight, report ID, and then we just use this report ID that was generated. And now we have a status of that particular report generation. We see the status it's in the queue, so it hasn't actually started generating this yet, but it does give us all of our parameters here that we passed in, as well as some of the ones that we didn't pass in. So this will take a while to run, so we'll check back on that, but let's look at some of the other options we have for that command. Now, if we change the report entity, we'll see all of the different reports that we can create with this, or we can generate with this. Here's the everyone except external users at site. Everyone except external users for items. The permissioned users, that's the one we already ran. Sensitivity labels for files, so finding files that have sensitivity labels. The sharing links reports, and then it loops back around to the beginning. So you have all of those different commands right here, and you can script these out to just generate all of them if you wanted to queue all of those up and, for example, drop them into a SharePoint document library or a OneDrive account, wherever you want to put those things, so that on a routine basis, those reports are going to be run and you can compare them against the baseline or your governance policy to determine whether some action needs to happen to clamp down on security to make sure that all of your content is secured. Another thing I wanted to mention is 2024 had a lot of SharePoint news, like pretty much every other year. If you've been finding it difficult to keep up with that, maybe you've given up on trying to stay up to date on all the SharePoint news, I've got a newsletter that comes out every week that will keep you updated on everything that's coming out, all the stuff that's announced on the roadmap, any major blog posts by Microsoft executives, things like that. It is value-packed, and I know that you would like it. So click the link in the description below to get signed up for my SharePoint Insights newsletter. Now let's get back to that report and see if it finished.
Well, it's been 24 hours, and that report has not actually even finished yet. In fact, it's still showing that it's in the queue. I don't know what's happening with that. Maybe there's a bug, but it didn't actually start creating the thing. So what I did was just create a new report. I used one of the sharing links reports, and we can see that here on the desktop. And the status is completed. So this took maybe an hour or two to run, but it's all done. So what we can do at this point is download this report with the export option. Export-SPO Data Access Governance Insight. We pass the report ID in, as well as the directory you want the file placed in. You don't have to specify the file name. And actually, you don't even have to have the folders already created, because in my case, I didn't have the DAG reports. I didn't have that folder created, and this will create that and then drop the file in there. So we can export this file. We have a CSV file, and there's really nothing in here because I don't have any sharing links, at least not the anyone sharing links. So this report is blank, but what you'd be able to do is see all of those sharing links files in there. And in this case, I use the recent activity option for the report type instead of the snapshot. So this is just within the last certain amount of time. The other thing you're able to do is if you actually navigate into the SharePoint Admin Center, you'll actually see that the report is updated here, and you could also open it inside here. So you can go either way. You could do full automation. You could script it so it will generate the report and export it out to a SharePoint document library, or you could start to collect all this, or you could just kick this off and then just go to the SharePoint Admin Center to get the report itself, and then decide if you want to take action on what the data is telling you. You do have the insights option here, the AI insights, which I've shown on some previous videos. So if you just want the raw data, the full PowerShell method is great. If you need a little bit of extra help, or you just want a second set of eyes, then going into the Admin Center and opening the report there and using the AI Insights option will give you a lot more detail on what's really happening. So try out both of those options and let me know what you think. Now, there's a lot of other features included with SharePoint Advanced Management. I've been covering a ton of these on my channel, and I've got a playlist dedicated to that. So to get started seeing what else SharePoint Advanced Management can do for you, then click or tap the screen, and I'll see you over there.